Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you are currently staring down 7 massive modules of organizational management and strategic operations and feeling, well, completely overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're doing a high-yield Cram session. This study guide provides a really structured roadmap for mastering these core principles, and we're going to bypass those common exam traps and lock in the core definitions you need, not just to ace your quiz, but to really thrive as a future business leader. Okay, let's dive right in.
Whether you're tackling this through the WG School of Business or just navigating these concepts on your own, consider this your roadmap to success. Over the next few minutes, we're going to transition from high-level, macro-strategic planning and responsiveness all the way down to the nitty-gritty mechanics of organizational structures and control systems. It's a completely holistic view of how a business truly operates.
All right, here's our visual syllabus for today. We're going to fly through 5 key areas: strategy and quality, the entrepreneurial spark, navigating conflict, HR and diversity, and finally, the organizational skeleton. Let's get to it! Starting right off with Section 1, Strategy, Quality, and SWOT. Think of this section as the brain of the organization, how top-level managers plan for the future and ensure total quality management across the board.
Okay, so here is the formal planning process. You start with a situational analysis, then you brainstorm some alternative goals and plans. But wait, here is a massive exam trap that catches so many people. What happens immediately after identifying those alternative goals? It is step 3, goal and plan selection. You literally have to select the plan before you do anything else. Do not skip straight to implementation or evaluation. Pick the plan first.
Speaking of planning, let's test your knowledge with a classic SWOT analysis question. This is a super common pitfall. In a SWOT analysis, is the lack of a qualified workforce a weakness or is it a threat? Take a quick second to lock in your answer.
All right, if you guessed weakness, hit the nail on the head. A lack of a qualified workforce is an internal weakness, not an external threat. A really easy way to remember this: think of SWOT like a mirror and a window. Strengths and weaknesses, that's the mirror. They exist right there inside your company. But opportunities and threats, that's the window. You're looking outside at the external market, like new competitors popping up or economic shifts.
Now, shifting gears to total quality management, Six Sigma is a huge concept here, and the absolute golden number you need to memorize, 3.4. Seriously, write that down. Under Six Sigma standards, an organization can have a maximum of just 3.4 defects per million. To put that into perspective, that means your production is 99.99966% defect-free. That is wild, but it's the standard.
So how on earth do we achieve that kind of quality? Well, pay close attention to W. Edwards Deming's 14 points because test writers love to set traps here. Managers have to drive out fear so employees actually report problems, and they need to eliminate empty buzzwords and slogans. But here's the kicker: absolutely no numerical quotas. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, right? But arbitrary quotas actually kill the whole mindset of continuous systemic improvement.
Moving on to Section 2, the entrepreneurial spark. We've got our rigid plans and quality controls, but now we need to balance them out with the creative engine of the business, entrepreneurship and innovation.
We all know what an entrepreneur is, but what about an intrapreneur? Enter a concept called bootlegging. Now, it sounds a little illicit, but it's actually just when employees use company equipment on evenings or weekends to create new products of their own choosing. Believe it or not, smart managers actively encourage this. It's a fantastic way to spark profitable, grassroots innovation right from within.
Next up is Section 3, navigating conflict and change. Look, innovation naturally brings some friction, and that brings us to the heart of the organization, how we manage disagreement and get folks on board with structural changes.
You really need to know your conflict definitions here, because not all conflict is created equal. Effective conflict is emotional disagreement directed at people. It's personal, it's biased, and honestly, it's highly destructive. Contrast that with avoidance, which is exactly what it sounds like, just ignoring the problem entirely and doing nothing. Spoiler alert, neither of these are great ways to run a business.
Now, to resolve conflict, communication is absolutely crucial. You'll hear the term boundaryless organization, and you might think, oh, it's just a total free-for-all. But check out this quote. The experts define it as breaking down rigid barriers, sure, but it absolutely does not imply unlimited communication or a random free-for-all. Rather, it means information will be available as needed. It's about smart flow, preventing total information overload.
All right, Section 4, HR and Workplace Diversity. Sticking with the human dimensions of the business, let's explore how human resources keeps the workforce functional, legal, and diverse to ensure a really healthy professional setting.
The HR planning process is a heavily tested concept, but honestly, it's super straightforward. It breaks down into 3 simple sequential phases. Number 1, planning. Number 2, programming. And number 3, evaluating. Just remember PPE, planning, programming, evaluating. Keep that acronym in your back pocket and you'll sail right through those quiz questions.
HR is also fundamentally the shield that protects the company legally. For example, during an interview, a valid HR practice is focusing strictly on qualifications. But a huge sneaky risk? Making friendly small talk about a candidate's grandchildren or asking when they plan to retire. I mean, it seems like innocent chatter, right? But it implies age, and that is a major trap for age discrimination. Always stay focused on the job skills.
You've also got to memorize the strict legal definition of sexual harassment. It is defined as any unwelcome sexual conduct that is a term or condition of employment decisions. And remember, this isn't just about direct advances. It definitely includes things like persistent displays of pornography or demeaning jokes. This law is the baseline to protect all employees across the board.
And that brings us to Section 5, the organizational skeleton. This is where we talk about the structural mechanics. How do we actually hold all these diverse people, strategic plans, and innovations together for long-term stability?
Let's compare the core structures. The mechanistic structure is exactly what it sounds like, a strict machine. It's highly formalized, very rigid, with strict authority and a high division of labor. On the flip side, you have the organic structure. This one is high involvement. Employees depend on each other and relate informally. Think of mechanistic as a machine and organic as an adaptable living ecosystem. So, what happens when that ecosystem grows geographically? Well, in a functional structure, all operations like marketing and purchasing are centralized right at headquarters. But let's say they expand and set up separate regional facilities, and suddenly each region gets its own marketing and purchasing departments. That company has officially transitioned to a divisional structure.
Okay, pay close attention, because here is a major exam trap you are almost guaranteed to see: the matrix organization. By definition, this is a structure where an employee reports to 2 immediate supervisors simultaneously. So, if a test scenario tells you an employee reports to a marketing manager and a regional head, boom, they are operating in a matrix structure. 2 bosses literally equals matrix. Write that one down. To keep this massive organizational skeleton from falling apart, we rely on control systems. Bureaucratic control measures progress against goals and applies corrective measures directly, very top-down. But market control? That's a whole different beast. It actually treats internal business units as independent profit centers that trade resources with each other via economic transactions. It's literally using market forces inside the company itself. Pretty cool, right? Wow. Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. We transitioned all the way from macro-level strategic planning through the human elements of HR and conflict right down to the structural skeleton. Consider this your high-yield recap to conquer this huge curriculum and completely bypass those tricky quiz pitfalls. I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought as you dive into your exam prep. Are your organizational structures rigid enough to maintain control, yet organic enough to spark that vital entrepreneurial innovation? Keep that balancing act in mind as you study. Review those core definitions, trust the roadmap we've built today, and you've absolutely got this.